There is a moment that almost every Shih Tzu owner has experienced, and almost everyone misunderstands it. You open the door, step into the house, see the mess, and your little dog looks up at you with its head lowered, silent, looking guilty. In that instant, most people are certain of one thing. It knows it did something wrong. But the truth is far more uncomfortable. I've lived with Shih Tzus long enough to realize that they don't think in terms of right and wrong the way humans do. They don't sit there replaying what they did earlier and feeling remorse. What Shih Tzus are truly good at isn't feeling guilt, it's reading your emotions very fast, very accurately. The moment your voice drops, your shoulders tense, the energy in the room shifts, their body immediately shrinks inward. The look you call guilty is really just saying, please don't be angry. Many misunderstandings in raising Shih Tzus begin right here. We project human thinking onto a brain that doesn't operate that way. For example, when a Shih Tzu leans against you, many people assume it's always affection. But in reality, sometimes it's simply their way of seeking safety, especially in crowded places, noisy environments, or when you're stressed. Shih Tzus are small, but incredibly sensitive. They experience the world not through logic, but through sensation. Some people also believe that all Shih Tzus enjoy being hugged, petted, picked up, and kissed. But I've met many who are simply tolerating it, not enjoying it. They stay still not because they're comfortable, but because they don't know what else to do. Over time, that tolerance turns into stress. And one day, when their behavior starts to change, you find yourself wondering, why are they so different lately? Even feeding habits are misunderstood. Some people think taking the food bowl away mid-meal will teach a dog to behave. To a Shih Tzu, it teaches only one thing. The world is unstable. And when a sensitive breed lives with that sense of instability, their brain shifts into defense mode. Not loudly, not immediately, but quietly, beneath the surface. What I want to say here isn't that you're raising your Shih Tzu wrong. It's that many pieces of well-meaning advice that sound reasonable are quietly making the relationship between you and your dog more tense without you realizing it. Shih Tzus don't need a harsh leader. They need someone whose emotional signals are predictable and safe. If you're raising a Shih Tzu, try thinking back to the last time you believed they knew they were wrong. How angry were you? What did your voice sound like? Did the atmosphere in the house feel heavy? It's very possible your dog had no idea what had happened. They were simply reacting to you. Leave a comment sharing a moment when you misunderstood your Shih Tzu's behavior. Many people will read it and realize they've been there too. And if you want to continue understanding Shih Tzus for who they truly are, without projection, without moral judgment, subscribe to the channel. Here, we're not learning how to make dogs obey, but how to live with a sensitive creature without forcing it to tense itself just to adapt to humans. There is one more crucial piece that many longtime Shih Tzu owners unintentionally miss. Dogs don't learn from events that happened long ago. They learn from the emotions that exist right now. It sounds simple, but misunderstand it, and you may slowly raise a dog that becomes more and more wary of you without ever realizing why. Shih Tzus live intensely in the present. When you come home feeling irritated, their brain doesn't rewind to remember what they did earlier. Their brain registers only one thing. The human in front of me feels unsafe, and so their body lowers, their eyes avoid contact, their ears flatten. Not because of remorse, but to avoid conflict. This is a survival reflex, not a moral response. The danger is that when this reflex repeats often enough, a Shih Tzu begins to read you before you even react. They watch your facial expressions, listen to your footsteps, sense the emotional charge in the house. Many Shih Tzus become strangely well-behaved, not because they understand, but because they're afraid of being wrong. And a dog that lives in prolonged fear of making mistakes eventually stops being itself. Another very common misunderstanding is believing the dog is doing things on purpose to annoy you. In reality, Shih Tzus have no motive for revenge. They don't act to provoke or challenge your authority. When problematic behavior appears, it is almost always a sign of imbalance, lack of stimulation, lack of safety, or poor communication. Raising a Shih Tzu, therefore, isn't about teaching them human rules. It's about adjusting the environment so their brain doesn't have to stay in constant defense mode. When the environment is clear, signals are consistent, and your emotional state is stable, many behavior problems naturally fade without you needing to do anything extra. There's something I often tell new Shih Tzu owners. If your dog seems too quiet, too cautious, too well-behaved, be careful. Because that may not be calmness. It may be suppression. And suppression, over time, always finds a way out. Sometimes through behavior, sometimes through illness, sometimes through complete withdrawal. What's missing in many modern approaches to dog ownership isn't technique, but an understanding of how dogs experience the world. Shih Tzus don't need you to be right all the time. They need you to be easy to read, easy to predict, easy to feel safe around. If you're raising a Shih Tzu, try observing not what they do, but whether they tense up or relax when they're near you. The body doesn't lie, and Shih Tzus speak through their bodies constantly. This is also why understanding dog behavior correctly doesn't just help them live better, it makes your relationship much lighter as well. Not control, not power struggles, but existing together in a space where neither of you needs to stay on guard. Before this video ends, I want you to carry with you one very simple but often misunderstood truth about raising a Shih Tzu. Most of what you've thought of as personality, bad habits, or even knowing they did wrong is actually a sensitive brain trying to adapt to the human world. Shih Tzus don't operate on ideas of right and wrong, good or bad, the way we do. They operate on a sense of safety or lack of safety. When the environment is clear, your emotions are steady, and daily life is predictable, their body relaxes. When human signals are conflicting, inconsistent, or filled with tension, their brain shifts into defense mode. And that defense mode creates the averted eyes, the tightened body, the unnaturally well-behaved dog that many people mistake for being understanding. What matters is realizing that dogs are not trying to make you feel bad, nor are they pretending to be innocent. They are simply responding honestly to the emotional state that exists in the moment. A Shih Tzu lowering its head isn't recalling a past mistake, it's reading your frustration. A quiet dog that asks for very little isn't necessarily easy to raise. It may have learned to stay unnoticed to reduce risk. And when those reactions repeat long enough, they become a way of living, not just a temporary response. Raising a Shih Tzu, therefore, isn't about fixing the dog. It's about adjusting yourself to become a stable safety signal. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be cheerful all the time. You only need to be consistent, predictable, and slow enough that the dog in front of you doesn't have to keep guessing whether the world is safe today. When you change that, you'll be surprised how many behaviors disappear not because they were suppressed, but because they were no longer necessary. One last thing I want you to remember is this. Don't judge a Shih Tzu's state by silence alone. Silence can mean peace, but it can also mean suppression. Look at the body instead. Is it relaxed? Are the eyes soft? Is the breathing steady? Shih Tzus communicate constantly through these signals. We just don't often slow down enough to listen. If this video helped you revisit a moment with your Shih Tzu, a look, a reaction, a time you thought they knew they were wrong, then the relationship between you and your dog has already begun to shift. Quietly, but very real. Thank you for staying until the end. If you want to continue understanding dog behavior without projecting human expectations onto them, subscribe to the channel to explore deeper, slower, and more honest content about the inner world of Shih Tzus. And if you'd like, leave a comment sharing a moment when you misunderstood your dog. Sometimes, sharing a small story is enough to make both you and them feel a little lighter.